Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to cilinixfxcapital. I hope you're all doing great, and welcome to this new video right here on the markets. We're going to do a full update right here on the markets here going into the weekend. We'll talk about Bitcoin, we'll talk about XRP, we'll talk about Ethereum. I did in-depth updates on those all this morning. Those are still valid, all right? We will go into depth a little bit more on Bitcoin. We have a little bit more information on that, and we'll talk about some altcoins that have a lot of momentum at this point of time, which, by the way, XRP has as well. You can see XRP and XLM are still very, very strong, have a lot of momentum. We'll talk about that, but first of all, let's start with the fundamentals. Because fundamentally, there's quite a lot to talk about. I mean, right now, when we're talking about headlines, I personally saw some interesting headlines, but there's no major interesting headlines I think we need to talk about at this point of time. I mean, Trump said again that Powell is doing a terrible job. That's fine, but at this point of time, yeah, I mean, the S&P 500 opened a little bit lower. There was some renewed tariff tension also between Canada and the United States and the EU and the United States. So yes, we opened lower, but ultimately the open so far has been bullish, and ultimately, as you can see on the 4-hour time frame, the trend for equities, which is very important for crypto as well, is also still up. All right, so there's no fundamental thing to be worried about at this point of time. Also, not necessarily regarding the markets, although I must say, and this is something I also said this morning, that if you take a look at the last 3 months for Bitcoin, now maybe the market circumstances are different, it's a possibility, but the last 3 months you can see that the one day that has been consistently bearish was Friday, right? So I do think, today, the weekend, I think we should be ready fundamentally, not only for Bitcoin, but also for Bitcoin, ready for some de-risking. I mean, you can see right now, if you take a look at Bitcoin, the open interest is rapidly going up. Now, that's not only leverage longs being opened, that's also shorts being filled and shorts being opened. But ultimately, more leverage in the market creates a higher risk of volatility. And you can also see here on the 1-hour time frame, I mean, I would say technically, and we'll take a look at this in a moment a little bit more, technically so far Bitcoin has been moving very, very good, and has actually been moving, kind of like it wants to move higher. So that's also my bias, I would say, at this point of time. It's a little bit dependent on a couple of things, but at this point of time, it's still most likely that Bitcoin will rally higher. But there are some things you need to know regarding those bearish divergences, right? So we already know that de-risking is quite normal. My apologies. And then you can also see that there are some, my apologies, it's not great. But then you can also see some bearish divergences here in the department of the price moving up. But the volume going low, and today we haven't seen major volume, and the RSI going lower as well, while the open interest is going higher. Now, if we zoom into that open interest, which I think is interesting to do, so we actually have a little bit more context into knowing what's going on right here, you can see that it's a little bit of a mixed bag, but there are some major long positions being opened. There's some major short position. No, it's actually, I would say it's primarily short positions being opened, which confirms my theory, together with Bitcoin holding up very, very well. I mean, you can see we pushed down into 117, 250, but it looks more likely that we're going to get one more short squeeze up here. A lot of shorts being opened, which I understand, but I think it's a little bit more likely for Bitcoin now that we will be able to get one more squeeze up into 120, 122, and that from there I do think we're going to de-risk. And then the main levels that I would be looking at for support lower would first of all be between 115 and 114, where we have the first major support level, and then lower towards 112.5. But I will keep you updated on that. Now, when we're taking a look at XRP right here, it has a lot of momentum. Rallied into that level right here at 2.75, 2.8, which you can see on the higher time frames is a major resistance level. I have similar thoughts to XRP that I had on Bitcoin, although I must say that XRP actually hasn't made these bearish divergences, right? So the volume is still going up, the RSI is still going up. RSI right now is at 90. Open interest also still going up, but this is a major resistance level. So unless I got some major news, I also think we can move into 2.9, we can move into $3, but I do think XRP is going to reject and move back into worst case scenario at this point of time, 2.4, 2.45. And then Ethereum, Ethereum has been doing fine. I mean, Ethereum has been relatively stable today, has been a little bit less strong than XRP, but on the higher time frames, getting time and space above our most important support level right now, which is between 2700 and 2800, is important. I think we're going to pull back as well soon. That's the main level we need to hold. I expect that to hold, and I expect more bullish momentum into 3100, 3200. Now, lastly, when we talk about some altcoins, like I said, XRP, XLM at this point of time are very much the strongest coins still. Personally, I also think it's interesting to keep an eye on Solana. Solana so far has been relatively quiet, but there's definitely still potential there. And then you have some. Well, I'm not sure if I want to name these coins. You have a couple of manipulated ones. Lumia seems to be very strong, which is interesting because I hold that. So I'm going to look into selling that. But outside of that, what to call? There's so much. Portal has a lot of momentum. Omni has a lot of momentum. Hedera has a lot of momentum, but I would be careful with that. Pengu is still incredibly strong. Like I said, Lumia has a lot of momentum. What more do we have? No, I'm going to keep it with that. And Sonic. Sonic is the last one. Sonic is trying to reclaim an important support level right here around 38, 36 cents. It's the last one I want to cover. That is one to keep an eye on as well. But that's what I think you need to know for right now. So have a great weekend. I will keep you updated on the markets. And by the way, last thing, most important level for Bitcoin is this level right here at 116.8. If we fail to hold that, then the short squeeze theory is not going to happen. And then we will squeeze down to those support levels we spoke about earlier first. But those are my thoughts. I think that's what you need to know. For now, thank you for watching. Take care and bye.